Our story begins 3 months before that fateful day in May in 1995, with a young man, Thomas Sennet. There is a building. It is flat and close to the ground. It has a sign in the front and a long driveway that pulls into an overhang. It's simple and understated, but well made. It looks like a home, much like any other, but the sign out front reads Sennet and Son Mortuary. Underneath that sign is a quote, "A steady hand to guide you through the storm." This is the home of Thomas Sennet. The mortuary is owned and run by his stepfather, Bill Sennet. Now, Bill is not your father by birth, Thomas. Bill is your father by choice. You carry his name, if not his blood. Your real father left you and your mother when you were about 5. You haven't seen him since. A few years back, though, you received a call from the woman that he married. Your father, who was a comms officer in the military, was killed serving in Iraq. An EFP bomb had blown his Humvee vehicle straight off the road. No one within his unit survived, and while he was 12 miles outside of Baghdad, there was no hope for survival. His life ended quickly, we're told, but it doesn't really affect you. He was a stranger. You didn't know him. You did know Bill. Bill was the father that you needed. He cared for you. He and your mother had met when your Aunt Gracie had died. Your mother was immediately attracted to his kindness, his silent, understated strength. Not a big man, forgettable in many ways, calm and steady, not unattractive but not handsome, plain, simple. To you, though, he was your caretaker when you needed it the most. Your mother worked often outside of the home. You and Bill spent a lot of time together. He drove you to baseball practice. The two of you had a very uncomfortable conversation about sex 2 years ago. Thankfully, it ended soon. Bill then took you out to Blippi's arcade afterwards, and you played Street Fighter together. Bill was horrible at those games, but he always enjoyed being with you, taking care of you, supporting you. As you grew older, Bill started to bring you into the mortuary. He paid you to do odd jobs. At first, you were clearing the yard and shoveling the drive when it snowed, refilling the brochures and helping to replace the many candles throughout the mortuary. Eventually, though, he started to bring you into the intake room, started to show you what he did to the bodies to make them ready for viewing. He showed you the tools and he taught you why it was important. He instilled in you a respect for the dead. And then, back at the end of last summer, he brought you in as an assistant. He began to teach you how to use those tools. You assisted him during both embalmings and cremations. It didn't bother you. You learned. Maybe it was the way that Bill taught you, the way that he patiently guided you through the process. It felt special. It felt like you were giving these deceased people a gift. Will you describe yourself at 16 years, please, Thomas?
Yeah, at 16. Well, people would always question whether Bill was my father because he and I couldn't look more opposite from each other. At 16, I was already taller than him. I already looked like a very strong man. And still, though, in the body of a 16-year-old, still on occasion giving away the fact that I am not grown. Already shaving. Already not getting carded.
It's got you in trouble more than once, hasn't it?
Define trouble.
I'll show you trouble later. One of the last things that you remember, Thomas, before the fall is the fight that you had with your mother. She was a strong woman, smart. She could be gentle when she wanted to, but she was the backbone of your family. She was harsh. You had always assumed that she'd lived a harsh life, but she never allowed that to affect you. She gave you every opportunity. She cared for you deeply. She watched over you, protected you. However, the two of you now are in the car, seated outside the mortuary so that Bill doesn't hear you. She's furious, and she has that red pallor to her face that you know she has whenever she's about to start yelling. You can see the small vein in her temple begin to twitch. She's holding onto the wheel and not making eye contact with you. Should we talk about this?
Yeah, if you want. I mean, I don't know what there's nothing to talk about.
Well, I think there is. You've been trying to intercept the mail and hiding these from me. She throws down a number of applications for summer tours to Columbia University and New York University.
So you're just gonna go through mail that's not yours? That's mine.
You're mine. And you're 16 years old, and until you're 18, you'll live under our house and our rules. You'll talk to us, not ignore us.
No, but Mom, you want me to talk to you about things that I know that you're gonna try to, like, control, like you do everything.
I'm not trying to control you.
Yes, you are.
Tommy, I am not trying to control you. All I want is for my son to be honest with you.
You make it so hard to be honest with you.
You know we can't afford those schools.
I'm applying for scholarships, and
You're 16. You still have 2 years. You're a sophomore.
Yeah, but they say that you need to get started right away. That really, it's your junior year.
These summer tours aren't going to happen, Tommy. You have to work. Bill needs you. You know it's the busy season.
Bill doesn't need me.
Bill needs you.
Why? You could just get some kid to help. Just hire somebody else. Mom, it's a chance for me to go and meet, people that are going to help me get to where I want to get.
Your father has worked very hard for you. You can go to college, but you're going to work at night here. There's a community college.
I don't want to go to community college. I get good grades, Mom. I'm a smart guy. I'm good at sports. I'm vice president of ASB. Like, I'm doing all of these extra things so that I can get... I'm not doing it just to kill time. I'm doing it because I'm trying to get out of here.
Is it that bad? Do you hate us that much?
Yes, I do. Mom, is that what you want? Yes, I hate it here. Don't go through my mail. Can I get out?
You slam the door, and you just feel the silence from behind you as you hear the car's engine start. Station wagon pulls out of the driveway, and you hear it stop for a moment. You're just standing there in the drive. Then a moment later, it drives off.
I wait for it to disappear, and then I don't go home. I suppose.
How late are you out?
Midnight.
Way past your curfew. It's a weeknight. If it was a weekend, it might be different, but on a Wednesday, you can't stay out that late. So you're out until midnight. What do you do? Do you find friends? Are you on your own?
I'm hanging out with some friends at first.
Yeah.
Then, you know, there's a place near the house that I would go to, forest, lightly wooded area, and there's a kind of bit of a hill that you can climb on top of and look down below, and on a really clear night you can catch some falling stars. So I probably spent some time trying to convince a friend of mine to go sneak out and go and hang out there, get his older brother to get us a couple beers. But at this point, I'm there alone.
You're waiting for your friend. Your friend doesn't come, by the way. This is before cell phones, so there's no way to really communicate unless you want to find a payphone. Midnight rolls around. You've been out there. You're cold. There's a sort of a mist hanging across the forest that you're in, and it's dark. You see a shooting star above you. Sky is beautiful, but you're shivering, and you're hungry, and you're tired.
I'm out here more than anything to make them worried.
Eventually, there are a pair of headlights off in the distance, not far from this wooded area. There's a small turnabout, mostly dirt, but someone's here. You just see lights. You can't tell who it is from this distance. You see a figure that lights are still on. They're walking in front of you. A silhouette.
Ooh. And I don't recognize the car?
You don't know what car it is. They're just headlights. You're blinded. It's dark here.
I'm gonna try to move away. I don't want someone that I don't know to come upon me in the middle of the night like this.
You hear a voice. Tommy? Tommy? It's Bill.
Dad?
Hey, Tommy. Need to... His voice quavers.
Look, I know I'm
I
in
need
trouble.
to talk to you, Tommy.
Are you gonna yell at me?
No. No, son, I'm not going to yell at you. I need to talk to you now.
What's wrong?
It's your mother.
What? What about her?
Tommy, there's been an accident. I need you to come home with me.
What do you mean an accident? Mom? Is she okay?
She's not okay.
Is she dead?
She's gone, Tommy. She died in a car accident on 9th Street. She ran a light. She was T-boned. I don't want to talk about it right now. Let's just get you home, and let's be together, and he starts to cry, and this man who's always been so strong for you falls to his knees and covers his head in his hands as he weeps there in the light of the headlights that silhouette him.
I've never seen him do this.
You've never seen him this emotional, no. But you know that he loved your mother. It was a very perfunctory sort of relationship. It always seemed quite businesslike. It wasn't passionate or full of emotions, but you often saw them hold each other's hands or give each other a glance from across the room. They loved each other, but it seemed that your stepfather, Bill, was never able to fully express himself, his emotions. But now, it seems that he can't stop. What do you do?
I think all I hear is the engine of the car, and time slows down, and I can see him sobbing, but it sounds like it's all happening like 100 miles away. And I watch this man who's raised me falling apart on the ground, and I don't know what to do.
You're like a deer in headlights.
So I just start walking home.
You leave Bill there in the cold, alone, as you walk home. The next day, you wake up hoping that it's a nightmare, and that it isn't real. But downstairs, as you emerge from your room to make your way to the kitchen, you don't smell anything. You don't smell the coffee that your mother always brewed every single morning. It's a vacancy that immediately strikes you like a knife to the heart. There are a number of small plastic baggies seated on the kitchen table. Some of your mother's things, her purse, her wallet, open with a photo of you at 5. Bill is standing in the doorway before you know it. You feel a hand on your shoulder. I'm glad to see you're awake. How are you holding up?
I think I'm okay. Is that weird?
No, it's not weird. We all deal with grief in our own ways. It's a very personal process. I'm sorry, Tommy. I should have been stronger for you last night. I loved your mother very much, and I thought I would be prepared for anything. Me of all people, prepared for this. But it just goes to show you, son, life can always surprise you. He grabs you and pulls you into a hug.
I start squeezing him as hard as I can. I yelled at her. That's the last thing that I said to her.
She knew you loved her. It doesn't matter if you yelled at her. She loved you. There's nothing that you could ever do that would have changed that, Tommy. I want you to come with me. Today is going to be a special day. You and I. Come with me.
I follow him.
He walks through the house into the back, past the viewing room, into the intake room. There, in the cold of that place, is a gurney with a body covered in a blue sheet. Thomas, we have to do this together. We have to put her back together, you and I. We have to put her
back the
to
way
peace.
she was.
Yeah,
The way she's meant to be.
that's right. No one else can do this but you and I. He has a hand on your shoulder. Can you do that? Can you work with me? Can you assist me?
Yeah. I want to see her. Can I see her?
He walks over.
Can I see her alone?
Yes, of course. He takes his hand off of the paper sheet and turns and walks out, closes the door, and you're alone with the corpse of your mother lying on a gurney in front of you, covered by a blue paper sheet.
I just stay for about a minute far away from her. After some time, I'll slowly get right next to the gurney. And I watch the clock and I wait for about 5-10 minutes to go by. And I never pull back the sheet. I never say anything. And then I go back and get my dad.
You open the door, and he's seated in the hallway, stands immediately, looks to you. There's that strength in his eyes that your mother fell in love with. Silent, but very palpable. He walks into the room with you, guides you in. I want you to get the packing gauze and the tracer. And I think you should make the insertion and incision. I'll do the rest.
Without saying anything, I very clinically go get the supplies, put them exactly where I know he wants them, and assist him to the letter.
You and your father begin the work. And in that moment, Sennet, you change. Tell me, what's different about you when you walk out of this place?
It takes a while. It feels like it takes forever. It's at the beginning, completely detached, again, feeling like I'm 100 miles away, and I am not looking at her face. I'm looking at another hunk of flesh that has made its way here that we need to prepare for their final rest. The blood doesn't look like blood. The tears in the flesh just look like something to put back together. And at some point, as I'm sewing her up and knowing that my father is about to wire her mouth, and then after wiring her mouth shut, move on to sew the eyelids so that they don't pop open. And I know it's just my last chance to look her in the eyes, and I make the mistake of looking up and seeing the emptiness behind her eyes. And that's all.
It's a dark, empty void. And you will face that void many, many times in the future. Your life will be spent fighting against it. And you'll see it in the faces of every single shambling corpse that you encounter. It never goes away, this feeling. Every once in a while, it recedes, but it's never really gone. And the lessons that your father has taught you, they stay with you. You use these skills. Because 3 months later, bodies begin stacking up. The mortuary can't keep up. You're spending day and night cremating body after body. You don't have time to make them ready for a viewing. There are no viewings. Everyone is sick and dying, including Bill. You've locked him in the attic. He's not right. He He's like an animal, rabid and angry. You hear him pounding in the house as you try to find 15 to 20 minutes to catch just a little sleep. But you fail over and over again, Sennet. What do?
One of the things that you deal with when you're preparing a body for its final rest is the conversations that you will inevitably have to have with those they leave behind. And I watched my dad have those conversations again and again. And the thing that comes up, the thing that makes them love the work that he does is when, after we've prepared their lost loved one, the realization when they lay their eyes on them and you see that the person they lost looks like who they were. That's what they were like when they were alive. And it has impact because that's the last moment they're gonna have with them before they say goodbye. Our goal has always been to take the body familiar, recognizable, like the person they loved. And that's not who Bill is right now. He's walking around, he's shambling, he's groaning, he's not.
You hear him pounding. Behind the locked door. Up the stairs. To the 3rd floor. You hear him walking.
I walk to the garage. And I start looking for a tank of gasoline that I know he would have in case my mom ran out of gas, drive over to pick her up.
You're well familiar with it. You fill the lawnmower with it every single summer, time and time again.
Very clinically, very methodically, I start to pour gasoline on the most flammable parts of the house. Sometimes, if a body is too messed up to be able to repair and put back together, sometimes for other reasons, the family chooses cremation. I'm gonna cremate Bill.
And all the bodies that you can't possibly
Everything.
cremate. Everything.
I'll leave with whatever bag I've packed it. Hit the road with.
And as the blaze of the mortuary burns behind you as you walk away, you head off towards Pittsburgh. The radios talk about Three River Stadium, about a military activation there, a safe zone, one that might offer you some hope. And you walk into the night, Sennet, and you never look back. "27 years later, though, Sennet, you find yourself chopping wood outside of Rivertown, also known as the Docks. It's on the banks of a beautiful, strong river. Here, a community has brought themselves together. They've built walls and a city on stilts. This town has multiple structures built out in the middle of the river itself with rope bridges connecting it all together. On the east and the west bank, there are buildings as well. You and your rag and bone crew have found yourselves there on the eastern bank. Behind you is the Pen region. This place is on the outskirts, far enough that the Citadel doesn't have reach. That military organization has been slowly tightening its grip. Communities are encouraged to pay tributes, to serve time in their military forces. They call themselves the Reclamation Force. There are those, though, who resist, who seek freedom. Freedom from the oppression that Citadel creates wherever it goes. Some willingly accept their fate and find the Citadel a godsend. But you and your group have been traveling further and further outside of those safe zones so that you might be able to do what you do best. Gathering the goods and services and bringing them along the rail lines so that you can provide them to those who need them. This place is no different. You came in a cart, having run across a very, very endangered young woman, Starburst, a wildling who appears to have been bitten over and over again by the dead, but doesn't seem to be capable of being infected. It's a secret that you and your allies have kept to yourselves. Dr. Remi has managed to do what she can to keep this young woman alive. And as you have found yourself in Rivertown, they have been gracious enough to allow you to stay the many weeks that it will take for Starburst to recover. But during that time, make no mistake, each and every one of you will be required to work. That's how things are done here. Everyone contributes. And since you have a member of your group that is unable to contribute to this well-being of the entire community, you have to work twice as hard. All of you. Time has moved forward. You've spent a few weeks here, and Starburst has shown some improvement, spending most of her days sleeping, sedated, with whatever pain medications and herbal remedies that the doctor can put together. You've gotten to know many people here within Rivertown, and you've met the leader, a man known as Lincoln. Again, his visage is similar enough to the man on the penny that everyone has given him this name. It's not the name that he was born with, but it's one that he gladly uses to strike a memorable form in everyone's memories. Each of you have been on work duty for some time now. Lenormand, you've been working in the hydroponics systems, making sure that the fields have been properly irrigated, taking care of issues with the various pumps that are strewn throughout the fields. Flywheel, you and Meg, your capuchin monkey, the rescue that you've taken on yourself. You're working on generators in the windmill in a place known as the Blade Field. Remi, you're in the infirmary. You're treating the sick and the wounded. And as I said, Sennet, you're felling trees on the outskirts, doing manual labor, using your strength in a way that benefits this community. I'd like to start with you, if that's all right, as you work on the irrigation systems. Can you first describe yourself, and then talk about the work that you're doing and how you're doing it?
Lenormand is my complexion and is very tall, around 6 feet. Broad shoulders and has what appears to be vitiligo on the right side of their face. She is she, they, as I am, and is a quite literal person. Very good at technology. And tends to dress almost exactly like her sister whenever she can. And braids, scarf, and so on. Surprisingly good at leading people, but also knows not to care for people that don't deserve it. While she's working in the fields, she does work with people, but I think that there are times where she's alone and she starts feeling the same itch that she gets when it's been too long. It's been too long, and she needs to do her work. She needs to put something explosive together, and she has to send it somewhere else.
You have a compulsion, one that drives you to make fire in the most spectacular of fashions, don't you?
I've been collecting pieces that I know that work well together, pieces that they never miss. People never miss the important things that they should miss. And I have enough now to put something very beautiful together.
Can I ask you a question? Leno? Are you stealing parts of the irrigation system to aid you in this pursuit?
It is parts that the system does not need. They put too many in here.
But
And
you are
besides,
stealing,
this irrigation
is that correct?
system will not last long anyway, the way that they have it set up.
And you do not help to enhance it, only to maintain it. Is that correct?
That is what they asked me to do, to maintain. They did not ask for me to make it better.
Very well. So you're working on these hydroponic lines out in the fields, and there's corn growing here. It's very, very late September now. Just about to become October, you think, though calendars aren't always very accurate these days. Everyone seems to be on their own time. You're out in these fields, and there is corn, rather high, and there are soybeans as well. And there are other members of Rivertown, of the docks, that are moving about here and going about their work, tending to these very, very crucial crops, gathering grain and carrying it off to the windmill, where it's ground and distributed to both the animals, the livestock, and the people. There is one figure, though, that you can't help but notice. Someone who seems wholly different than any of the other community members here. Someone strange. He stands there across the way. Omar, would you describe your character, please?
Nathan is a 5'10" gentleman with salt and pepper tousled hair, thin glasses. It's difficult to tell if he needs them to see up close or for the distance. And in terms of age, I would say it's nearly impossible to place. You can probably get within the range of late 20s.
Mid-30s, perhaps.
Mid-30s, perhaps. Maybe a sprightly looking, closer to 40. But again, it's hard to say. He has an energetic aura in a sense. While he's not quite making a show, he looks around and smiles and seems content, but his body is fatigued. There is a layer of stress that has set in and is part of him now. His eyes are sunken, and no matter how much rest he gets, that will never be fixed. That is just part of who he is. And every so often his eyes meet yours, and just as swiftly and calmly he will continue to look away.
What are you doing, Nathan? What are you working on while you're out here?
I am inspecting the corn stalks.
You're in charge of these fields, aren't you?
That's correct. That's correct. I am here to make sure that the gardens grow as best as they can. And so I'm inspecting leaves, and I'm checking the strength of each stalk, and also checking the produce and the fruit that we're able to produce.
So you're making these rounds and you're looking at the fields and making sure that everything's being maintained, and you notice that the irrigation systems, which have been chronically clogged recently, seem to be flowing just fine. And you see this young woman working on them not too far away.
I wave from a distance.
Hello?
And I will make my way over in no particular rush. And when I'm within sort of comfortable earshot, I will call out and say, "You've done wonderful work here."
I've done work. It could be better.
I see. Well, then there's potential for more improvement in the fields, I suppose.
In these fields? Yes, there definitely is.
I
There are a
couldn't-
number of mistakes that have been made with these fields, and particularly the corn stalks.
I see. I have not had the pleasure of introducing myself yet. I'm Nathan. It's very nice to meet you.
I'm called Lenormand.
Wonderful. Lenormand.
Thank you for introducing yourself.
Of course, of course. The irrigation system, as of late, has been an absolute wreck, and now, well, it looks like we're able to improve the corn stock.
The irrigation system will work as well as it was made in the first place.
I see. I understand.
Did you have anything to do with this irrigation system? Nathan?
Nathan peers deeply into your eyes and seems to be doing some sort of mental mathematics for just a second, as if like a shadow is passing over his face, and then he collects himself. With the system and the irrigation itself, no. I am simply in charge of making sure that the seeds that we plant grow into prosperous produce. The mechanics I have very little to do with. It's not my expertise. I can see that it's yours.
Yes, I do not deal in food. That's why I trade for it. I am not a farmer or a grower or a supplier of any way. You appear to be very fatigued and stressed. It does not seem that farming is your first calling.
That is incredibly astute. That's correct. I actually have only fallen to this trade seriously, I suppose.
As a punishment?
Oh, no. Although every so often, if I don't get something right, I do punish myself a little bit, but I'm trying to get better about that. I'm trying to see what I can do to improve my ability to garden. But you're correct. I didn't grow up in a farming community. This is something that I've taken on personally. But I would take it that you have a history with mechanical prowess?
There are a number of things that I enjoy that involves technology.
And I would think that they're not limited to the irrigation systems of a farm.
Not anything like this, no.
We will have to see if we can get you some toys to play with. Because I loved your
I
laugh.
am not a child. I may look young, but I am not a child that requires toys.
I mean no offense. I simply mean to say that looking at the progress you've made, your mind is very good at doing these types of things.
I am the best person that I know to do these types of things.
Flywheel, you and one of the other community members, named Zoe, have been working on the generators. The power from the various windmills that are outside of the blade field are used to generate electricity. Now, this electricity is very carefully maintained. They have a number of battery series that have been created. They store power for when it's needed most. Sometimes they indulge for either entertainment or personal comfort. But for the most part, it is meant to be used for emergencies only. As part of your stay here, there has been a number of trades made. The generator that you and the rest of the Rag and Bone group have brought with you has been purchased. What would you like in exchange for it?
Oh. Nox, didn't you say that there was a car here that wasn't working?
Yes, there was a car that they have been working on for some time, but they've never been able to get active.
I would love to see if I can get a loaner out on that, if I can get it working.
You're allowed to work on the car. Jaden lets you know that his father has approved, but the trade is not for ownership of the vehicle. However, you will be compensated for the work that you produce, and if you manage to get this vehicle running, you will be rewarded. There will be a number of offerings made that you'll be able to carry with you. You know that they have gold bars, which, though you may not think it, there is a certain number of factions that still fall into greed and avarice that want to own such things, but what you find more important is the amount of copper wiring that they have.
Ooh.
Which you would be able to use in the future.
Yeah.
So I will say that you and Jaden managed to create an arrangement, and I'd like for you to roll your barter.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see where our barter. There it is. It's fine. I'm better at bribing than barter.
Oh, actually.
That is a 9. So I have a 25, so I believe that's 1 or 2 degrees of success.
We'll call it 2 degrees of success. I'm feeling generous at the moment. So with 2 degrees of success, would you like to increase it with some of your competency points, or would you like to leave it at 2?
Let's leave it for now.
So be it. You do succeed in managing to obtain a fairly lucrative arrangement. I'll allow you and the rest of your Rag and Bone group to complete this arrangement later on. However, I am going to gift everyone at the table with 25 survival points. I'm sorry, Nathan. You will be the exception to that.
Understood.
Before you leave Rivertown, assuming that things go well, you'll be able to restock your supplies and make requests based on what material, weapons, and gear you think you might like. I can't promise anything, but as I said, Jaden likes you all. There seems to be quite a bit here that Rivertown owns that might be of use to you. And you do manage to make some inroads on that vehicle. However, Zoe is with you almost constantly. It's very rare that anyone is left alone, especially when it comes to delicate machinery, things that are of great importance to the community. You are accepted in this place, but you don't get the sense that you're necessarily fully trusted yet. Zoe is a quiet young woman, perhaps around your age, but one of the daughters of Lincoln, and a red-haired girl who keeps her hair short. She wears overalls and is usually dirty, covered in either dirt or grime, working in the various generators and other spaces within the within this area around the windmill. She seems to be quite happy and content here, but she doesn't talk a lot. And you always get the sense that she's watching you with sort of a critical eye. Meg doesn't like Zoe at all, but luckily Meg stays to herself, on your shoulder usually or close by. It's almost lunchtime, and you had promised your sister that the two of you would meet up and go to the commissary together.
All right, Zoe, as much as it has been so fun sitting here talking to myself, and I mean that completely genuinely, I love to hear myself talk, I gotta bounce.
Do whatever.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Yeah?
I'll take care of this.
You're gonna stay here? You don't want to come get lunch? All right, it's been real. See you later. And I exit.
She looks deeply annoyed as you walk out.
Mm-hmm.
The windmill behind
That's how
you
I like it.
creaks, and all of the wind generators are moving on their turbines. There's a loud noise that kind of recedes as you walk away from the fields. And with the blade fields behind you, you come upon Lenormand, talking to an individual that you have only seen in passing in the commissary once.
Oh.
There are a number of components that I would be interested in having to play with, like one would a toy. But however, our conversation has reached a pause point.
Understood. Hello.
Hi there.
How's it going?
Hi. I'm Flywheel.
Nice to meet you. I'm Nathan. How's it going?
This is Meg. Meg's doing well. I can't help but notice that there's some kind of trade going on here. What are we talking toys?
Nathan is currently a farmer for River Town. However, I believe that it was a type of punishment, and there is something that is in the history of Nathan, and now that is why that they are farmer, but they have offered to get me a number of things that I need. Because it's been a while. Flywheel?
Well,
However,
Any?
I do not know Nathan.
well, any potential friend of my sister is a potential friend of mine.
Fantastic. And you've been doing work on the windmills, is that correct?
I have been working on the generators. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, thank you. You know, I have a little bit of a hand for those things for the right price.
So, brilliance runs in the family, I take it?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
We are both brilliant, yes.
Wow. Gosh, to be part of that family, that'd be great. If I could make a trade, I would.
I am not looking for a partner, but thank you for your offer.
Understood. And I will take that rejection with me.
Why don't you take it with you to lunch?
That sounds great. Is that where you're both heading right now?
Yes, it is time for food. You must have food, you must have water, and you must sleep. Otherwise, you are no good to any community or yourself.
Now that is sound advice. That is very sound advice. Wonderful. Please lead the way.
We'll head that way.
The four of you make your way off to the commissary, which is on the eastern banks. As the four of you begin walking, the fields behind you seem to breathe. There's a breeze that kicks up. The air becomes very crisp. There's a smell, one that you've come to know. It's the smell of the dead.
Flywheel, they're migrating again.
Could be a breeze.
If they're coming from somewhere far, then that means at least a number of them will still continue far and not stay here. You know what I need.
The fly lands on your shoulder, Lenormand. It rubs its legs together.
Flywheel, get it off.
It flies away before it's hit back into the air. There are a few more. Nathan, you notice them too.
You got some protections in place here, Bucko?
Not as much as we probably should have. I would like to see if I can detect what direction these flies are coming from.
All right. I'll let you make a survival roll for me, Nathan. That's towards the bottom of your sheet there. And as we've explained before, it's a game of degrees of success and failure.
Fantastic. I got 29, and my survival's 35. So
you have 1 degree of success, which is enough to allow me to tell you which direction it's coming from. If you'd like more information, however, I can give it to you. You have competency points, and competency points can be spent to increase your rolls, to improve the results of them.
let's go ahead and do it.
How many would you like to spend? You currently have 4 competency.
I'll spend 1 competency.
Very well. You'll make it with 2. With 2 degrees of success, I will not only tell you the direction, but I'll tell you a general idea of the distance. Nathan, and Nathan alone, knows that it's coming from the east, and that it's only a few miles away. Most likely a fairly sizable swarm.
They're not far. They're heading from that direction.
You are not just a farmer. Not at all.
Thank you.
That was not a compliment.
I see. Well, do you mind if I ask the exact meaning of your words?
That was an accusation. I feel that you were not entirely truthful with me, and I wonder why not.
I see. Suspicion. I have wandered quite a distance to get here, and from that, I have picked up a couple of skills. One of which is knowing where they're coming from and how fast. We should probably warn a couple others.
As we go to do that, is one of your skills also finding me a crossbow for if these motherfuckers get close?
Listen, full disclosure, I'm not obviously originally from here. And as I think
That is obvious.
2 folks as ardent and sharp as yourselves would know that the sharpness in this town usually stays up here. They have a thing about pointy objects that they're very sensitive about. I can see what I can do.
Let's go.
So you go to alert some of the others within the community before making your way towards the commissary. It's all in the same direction from the fields. There are walls here, and you enter back into them. There are fences and some other protections around the field themselves, but the fields are sizable enough that it would be ill-advised to try to keep them within the walls. Doctor, you've been working. You've been working a lot. You've also been trying to keep a secret, haven't you?
I'm trying to observe Starburst when she lets me, to figure out what's going on with her bites that don't turn viral.
Right. Starburst is unconscious most of the time. She certainly doesn't seem to be happy to be poked and prodded. There's a great deal of trauma around that. You know where she came from. Well, you don't know where, but you know the types of people that have held her captive, experimented on her.
I won't be like them, but I'm going to do my best to figure out as much as I can from her while we have her. I get the feeling she won't stay with us when she's well.
There's a door that swings open in the infirmary. You've been treating some minor cuts and infections. All of the work that is done here oftentimes creates small inconveniences, but infection here, out here in the wild, is dangerous. You've upgraded the infirmary, you've made improvements, and you've also made it very clear that if anyone is cut, whether it's a simple cut or not, that they are to be disinfected and brought to the infirmary so that you can treat it. There have been enough amputations here that you'd like to see people remain whole for as long as possible. But the door swings open, and you see a sort of nervous-looking man. His name is Carter. He's sort of an accountant. He keeps track of all the various supplies, of the people, of everything that happens here. He is constantly carrying a clipboard and making note of numbers of things. How many barrels of fish are brought in a day? How many people are in the infirmary? How many meals must be served at dinner and at lunch? He seems quite happy with this. He has broken glasses that have been repaired more times than you can imagine. His simple blonde hair is cut short, and he wears homemade clothing like many of the people here at the docks. But he busts through the door. He looks frantic, and you've never seen him like this. He usually is very composed. He's panting. Hey, Doc, your patient, there's a problem. We need to go back to your cabin right now.
Starburst. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Starburst. Come on.
Sure.
And he leads you back over to the east dock. You're actually on one of the platforms now. You go across a rope bridge, and you are led back to the far side of the encampment just before the walls. That's where your collective cabin is. It's where you and all of your group have been staying together. It's a simple thing. Log cabin. It's about 20 feet in diameter all the way around, and it offers you just a couple of cots and a place to sleep. A secure place. There's only one window and a single door. That door is always locked, and all of you have keys. To your knowledge, no one else in the encampment does. At least that's what you've been told by Jaden. And apparently, Jaden is someone who your group has trusted in the past. Now, as you start to approach your cabin, the first thing that you notice is that the door is open, and that it has been broken open. The lock is still locked. It is held hanging from the doorframe itself.
Carter, before we go in, is she still in there? What did you find?
I'll let Grace explain it to you, but it's a mess. She's in there.
Okay.
And you see somebody moving around on the inside. Another one of Lincoln's daughters named Grace.
Okay, all right. I get close to the door before I start to open it. Hey, Starburst, it's me. It's Remi. Coming in.
You're not gonna hear from Starburst right now, Doctor.
Fuck.
She's unconscious, and Grace is obviously standing over the bed. You can see that there's blood on the floor. There's a trail of it that is smeared across the floor towards the door itself. 2 of Starburst's fingernails are embedded in the wood, broken off.
What the fuck happened here?
Your patient, I don't know. We heard screaming.
Someone clearly broke in here. She didn't do this to herself.
We broke in here. We heard her screaming.
There was no one else in the room?
Just her.
I run over to check on Starburst to see if I can rouse her at all.
Well, she's popped a number of sutures. She's bleeding again. You've probably lost half a week's worth of healing. Her eyes, as you check them, they don't dilate under the pin light that you have. You think she might be in a coma. There's a look of paleness to her, but it's not from blood loss. She looks terrified. Her face is frozen in this uncomfortable shadow of fear.
Did you check the windows? Or, I mean, The door was locked when you got here?
Windows were locked.
I quickly look around the room. Do I see any signs of forced entry, loose floorboards, anything like that?
I'd like for you to make a search check for me.
It's 2 degrees of success.
Would you like to ride on 2 degrees of success, or would you like to increase it?
I'll keep it with 2.
Very well. 2 degrees of success it is. There's a lot of blood here. A lot of blood. You're not certain, but it seems unlikely that it's just hers. I mean, hers and her being still alive. There's a pool of it in the corner. There are some smears. It looks like if she pulled herself out of bed, she moved around the room.
Well, someone else was clearly here. So, you better send out a search party or something. There's somebody in this town.
There's nobody here. The door
There's
was
too
locked.
much blood on this ground that it couldn't just be from her.
Look, Doctor, we think you're great. We really appreciate everything you're doing. My father is very thankful. We need a good doc, but I'll let Zeke know.
I am
I'll let the
not
rest of the security-
fucking crazy. Okay, you don't need to shower me with fake fucking compliments. I know what happened here. Someone in your town, someone is attacking other people, and you don't give a shit.
I assure you I give a shit, Doctor. And if you look around right now, you'll see Starburst is still alive. If somebody was in here and wanted Starburst dead, Starburst would probably be dead. You're the one who locked the door. Why don't you tell me if somebody was in here?
No one in our group would attack her. You know what? It doesn't fucking matter now. Help me get her to the infirmary. I need to treat her and get her out of this room. Apparently it's not secure.
We can do that. Absolutely. Carter, get off your ass. Let's move the patient for the doctor here. They get a stretcher, and they help you move Starburst back all the way to the infirmary. Sennet, you're coming back in through the gates. You're riding on the back of a cart that's being pulled by a fairly powerful horse. There's the day's work next to you. Log after log. Cleaned, sheared of bark, and prepared. You're bringing it all back, and there's a number of other men who were traveling with you. A couple of women that were working alongside you. All of you walking back into the gates. You all smell of sweat. You're exhausted. Everyone's tired. But you've done a good day's work. There's a certain satisfaction in that, using your hands this way. You move through the gates, and you see a little bit of commotion. You see people moving about rather quickly. There's across the river on the other bank, you see people moving back and forth, and on the river itself, in all the shelters, you see individuals moving across the bridges fairly quickly. What do you do?
Well, I think at this point, I will have affectionately started to call my group of workers the grunts, and on our way back to town, trying to kind of connect with them a little bit about like the work that we're doing versus the good times that they're having back home while we're out here sweating and breaking our backs. But to keep us, one, proud of the work that we're doing, and also to just try to bond with someone. And at that point also, I would have started to try to create some sort of a rapport with someone that's been there for a long time.
Of course, and this is genuine, right? You're a nice person. You're somebody who likes to meet people and to befriend them. Go ahead and make a persuade check. We'll use that to determine how successful this is, but even if the roll isn't quite what you hope it will be, I will allow your strength of personality to carry you a certain amount of the way.
Oh, no. That would be a 5 degrees of failure.
So why don't you tell me, Sennet, how you have misspoken, how you have awkwardly misrepresented yourself and your group and offended the grunts.
Oh, I know how. So, I think there's got to be one dude there that has not taken a liking to me. I don't know why he doesn't like the word grunts. I don't know why he's got a chip on his shoulder with me in particular. And he's a big dude. But I, in an attempt to try to build a bridge, I actually, which I've never tried before, I try to go up to him and be a little too chummy and kind of like give him a little bit of a, you know, too much touching, and he don't like it.
Don't touch me,
Oh.
ragger.
Okay. No offense. I just thought, you know.
Shut the fuck up and leave me alone.
I start to look around to see how everyone else is reacting to this.
They seem to take his lead, and you had actually been making some inroads. But because you have 5 degrees of failure, they have immediately soured to you, and the rest of the trip back has been very awkward. Now, you see all this action happening, and you know that no one here likes you, or seems to like you. You have a long road ahead of you if you wish to change that. Off in the distance, though, you see Lenormand and Flywheel traveling with a man that you don't know. They're moving quickly towards the commissary.
I am going to take that as an out. Okay. I'm going to kind of back away, hands up. Not even going to say anything else to this person that I pissed off. And I'm just going to start to, done with the day's work, going back to camp. I'm beelining to them. So I think they might like me a little more.
You hope at this point, but all of you are together. They seem to be moving towards some unseen objective, but you all see Sennet approaching from the wagon that has just pulled through the gates. The gates are being closed and locked. Many of you, as you see the movement here, you can't help but wonder if perhaps others have the same thought that the three of you have, that something isn't right.
I go right up to you and I say, something isn't right. Those people over there, they got some pissed off attitude, let me tell you.
There is something inherently wrong with this entire community.
Yeah.
And I am not only speaking of Zoe, the one that annoys Flywheel every day at their job, but I'm also speaking about the shoddy work that was done on their irrigation system, on most of their mechanics. It is almost as if this community has set itself up to fail.
I 100% am getting that from these people over there. It's like, I'm trying to get them to, like, I don't know, bond over the fact that we're the ones that are doing all this grunt work, and they just won't have it. They're afraid of this.
But you are very good at grunt work. You are very dependable.
I'm good at other things too. I don't always got to be, you know, the one out there breaking his back and sweating, but, you know, I mean, that's another, I don't want to sour the mood.
Also, Romero's are coming.
This is Nathan. Nathan has a past that we have not yet discovered, but is actually very good with farming and detecting Romeros.
Which he has done.
Yeah, we've got some Romeros coming. I'm Nathan, by the way. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You actually touch. That's nice.
I spend most of my time out pulling stuff out of the dirt, so I really don't mind. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, he seems nice. He's different than those others over there.
He is
They're
quite
not nice.
personable. He did introduce himself first.
Romero's?
Yeah, coming from the east.
Like coming here.
Yeah, in this direction.
Do we sound an alarm or what?
We're heading that way.
As you begin to make your way to the outposts, there are a number of towers that are on the edges of the walls. You're making your way towards effectively what is the nearest one to you, and you see Zeke and Jaden, two of Lincoln's sons, approach all of you. Jaden doesn't look like he's smiling. He usually is. He looks stressed out. He's sweating. He's unhappy. and it's very clear. He doesn't seem to be hiding it. He walks up to all of you. This guy, seriously, you can...
Ooh.
Nathan, why don't you leave us? I've got to talk to the Rag and Bone.
No, Nathan's my best friend.
Jaden, Nathan detected Romero's out in the field. If it was not for Nathan, then we would not have known until possibly too late.
Yeah, Nathan's a real champion. Everybody seems to love Nathan. I'd like to talk to the three of you alone, though. Can we do that?
You know what? It's all right. It was very nice meeting both of you, and you as well. And
You know what? On second thought, Zeke, why don't you take Sennet and Nathan? Get them armed. We need to do a little patrolling. You need to come with us. You need to go out. We're trying to find out how many they are. We're not going to engage. We need to see how far off they are. I trust that you're all sensing it too. It stinks to high heaven out here.
There were many disgusting flies on the wind.
That's not good. When the flies show up, they're not far behind. Okay, so
You want us to patrol, just to
yeah,
take
I
account?
know you did your work duty. Do you want to help out or not, Sennet?
Yeah, but we can get a couple of the other grunts that were breaking their back just as much as I was too.
Yeah, I'd like to see Nathan pull his weight.
this is more of a finesse job, it seems, Sennet, and I think we're the two best guys for it.
You all seem to think that Nathan's really good at sniffing this out. Let's put it to the test, Nathan. What do you think?
I'd be very happy to prove that hypothesis correct.
Zeke, keep an eye on them. And Jaden tries to
Yeah.
motion the two of you away.
As they walk away, go ahead.
I would like to step over to Sennet while the whole Jaden, whatever this Jaden Nathan pressure
Tension.
is, this tension. I'm okay with using some survival points of one of the things that I have done to keep myself busy when I've been doing this work that I considered below my skills. I would like to have had some type of flair or something like that I want to give Sennet.
So will you give me 15 survival points?
I'll do 15 survival points that I've built this, and that it's something that won't explode in his hand. Because that's 15. That's 15. You can't take it back.
I'm glad that you have expressed that it won't.
It won't
explode
explode in his hand.
because I
Good
don't know with you
distinction.
anymore. So you've made it clear that this is a flare. It's been given over.
Yeah.
Flare now.
I'm not making a big deal out of this with everyone. I look Sennet in the face. I am not sure how you are in stealthy situations, but if you need help, bring this flare. Open this flare, and help will come.
Got it.
But also run.
Oh, I will. This guy though. See.
He hit on me earlier, which means that he has good judgment.
Okay. Knowing how to read into what's underneath that's satisfying enough for me. And I'll take the flare.
All right. So Jaden takes the two of you and
Yeah.
actually helps you to start to shore up the walls. You're locking things down. So as the three of you are moving along, chains are being wrapped around open ports and things like that. Things that might be insecure should actually the dead make it this far. Do you have something you want to say to Jaden before we move off?
Absolutely, I do. As our new compatriot Nathan walks away, I turn to Jaden and say, he's a little insufferable ball of joy, huh?
Yeah. It's really annoying. But I don't... There's something about him.
Yeah.
Everybody else thinks he's great, but
Do you have a history with him?
I mean, he's here. He's been here for months. And he apparently is really good at farming. But he doesn't fit in. He's always smiling, and it seems like it's about an inch deep. I don't know. I feel like when people are too nice, something's wrong.
He really knows how to throw a compliment.
Yeah, he's good at that. He's like chaining stuff up as you two are.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll come back to all of you. Dr. Remi, You make it to the infirmary. Starburst is with you and the others as you are, you enter in. Now, there are people in the infirmary. You have been not only dealing with minor infections, but in the infirmary itself, you have probably about 5 people that have had what you're suspecting to be either food poisoning or stomach flu. They've been cared for. It seems like they're sort of recovering. They all have dark circles under their eyes. They're a little slow. They're lethargic. But other than that, they don't seem to be greatly affected by whatever this is. You've been giving them everything that you can. There are some antibiotics that have been traded here recently, so you are able to help them to some degree. They certainly seem to be easing their suffering. But again, it does seem to be fairly mild, more like a stomach bug. But there are probably about 2 beds left. Would you like to be close to the door or further in the back?
Further in the back. I guess as private as I can make it. If there's any kind of like curtain that pulls over or something like that in this room, we could use that. If not, then just as into the corner as we can get.
I mean, this is effectively a number of old sea containers that have been cut up and turned into a room. There are windows for ventilation up at the top. There's slits. They're fairly small. You couldn't crawl through them, but they allow air to come in. And in the far back, there is a small hatch that allows for entrance and exit. You know, you can crawl through a little passage and make your way out through the back entrance. And then in the front, there's the big double doors. The cot on the far end in the back is open, and it is able to be made private with the curtains that are available. You do so. Starburst seems to be comfortable. Both Grace and Carter look to you. Doc, I couldn't help but notice things seem to be agitated out there. I need to get back and talk to my father. Do you need anything else from me?
No, it's fine, but if something's happening, you might want to get the rest of these patients out of here. They're basically fine. They're not going to die if they have to stand up for a little bit. But they can always go back to their own quarters.
All right. Carter and I will take care of that. And then you, if you need something, you know how to find us. You know, there's the bell. You ring that bell, and we'll know what sector of the docks needs to be taken care of.
I know you probably don't believe me, but if there's something here sneaking into people's rooms and attacking them, you need to look into it. The safety of your entire community is at stake.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'm not really security. That's Zeke. I will talk to Zeke, and we will look into it, okay? Does that make you happy?
I just need you to care.
I do
about
care.
Your own life and the ones around you.
My family and I have been here on the river for over 20 years. We're doing just fine. It's when strangers like you come in that trouble comes with you. So we've got it well in hand. Look.
Listen, kid. Trouble comes from within all the fucking time. It doesn't have to be from strangers. I'm sure you've got your own set of things happening here that you're not talking about. Like the weird knife thing.
Yeah. Well, that's for a very specific reason.
What reason is that?
Come talk to me tomorrow. And she walks out.
I begin to examine Starburst and see if I can get her stable again.
Do you want to make an advanced medical check for me?
Sure.
And I can tell you whether or not you're... I will say that she doesn't seem to be actively dying in this moment.
That's just 1 degree of success.
Would you like to write out 1 degree of success, or would you like to spend some of your competency points, Doctor?
I will use 1.
So you have used a single competency point, and
Yep.
you have 2 degrees of success. With 2 degrees of success, I will not only tell you that she is stable, you're able to do some work and actually get her heart rate back to something approaching normality. She's all over the map, though. Her vitals are strange, and she does seem to be in a coma at this moment. You don't know how long that's going to last, but she doesn't seem to be responding to anything. She's breathing, her body seems to be stable. You don't know where she's at mentally.
Can I analyze how she was injured, besides the missing fingernails? Where she's bleeding from, if she was cut or bludgeoned or what?
Just the popping of the sutures. There doesn't seem to be a mark on her. Everything seems to be self-inflicted.
If she's stable, I start to try to lock down the room. There's nobody else here.
Yeah, they've finally kind of pulled everybody out. You're here alone. You start to lock down the room. Do you actually close the door and lock it?
Before I do, I stick my head out to see if I see any of my party out there, any of these people.
Yeah, the rest of the Rag and Bone are out there. You see Sennet walking away with a stranger, and the man that you've come to know as Zeke, one of the sons of Lincoln, who is in charge of security. You see both Flywheel and Lenormand walking away with Jaden, and they seem to be working on the walls, but they're close enough that they would hear you if you shouted.
I just quickly stick my head out and say, I'm in here with Starburst. If anything happens, you probably need to come get us.
You do not hear that, Sennet, but the two of you do.
Be prepared to travel if you need.
Fuck, okay. And I close and lock the door, and I start to search the room for weapons, anything sharp.
You've been here
bags.
for a few
Yeah.
weeks. You can put anything in here that you want, and you've been given access to many of the supplies. They're very thankful for the service that you provide especially, and so with that, I'll allow you to have weapons hidden here. What would you like?
Just the same as I had before, rifle, knife. Had a Glock I took off somebody.
Your personal items.
Earlier, yeah. So just that is fine, and then if there's any additional medicine I could take from here, pack in a bag.
Would you like to give me 10 survival points?
Sure.
Then you have a display of medicine that you've collected, a number of antibiotics, painkillers, all of them homemade. They're thick, heavy pills, hard to swallow, but they're effective.
And if there's any smelling salts, I'm taking that as well.
You do. I'll allow that for the same purchase. All right, we'll come back to you, Doctor. As you lock yourself down in the infirmary, the two of you, along with Jaden, are moving along the wall. Nathan and Sennet, you're moving along with Zeke as you make your way out through the gates, once more, the gates that you just left, Sennet.
All right, so if we're going to do a patrol, what are we getting armed with? You're not going to make me go out there with nothing.
You are given your weapons. So you have your rail driver. Did you have a rifle or a pistol?
I have a pistol, rail driver. I want to ask for something that, listen, if we're going to encounter any Romeros, we're going to be up close and personal with them. We need something to cover us so that we don't get that splatter on us. I'm sure you have something.
Yeah, I can find something for you. And Zeke walks into one of the guardhouses and comes out with a series of heavy ponchos.
Okay.
But that's it.
It's better than nothing.
Hands them out to the two of you. Doesn't wear one himself.
Huh. Why not for you?
I ain't gonna need it. I'm not gonna get close enough.
Well, let's hope none of us have to get close enough.
Right, well, we can hope that.
I sling a bundle of rope kind of over my shoulder. Okay, well, we should probably start making our way.
Yeah, let's do it. Is it getting dark yet? I mean, this is the end of the work day, right?
Yes.
I'm
You have
gonna
maybe an hour of somewhere.
okay. I'm gonna look for like some kind of a eye protection, maybe some goggles or something that I can wear, and I'm gonna look for something that I can kind of wrap my face up with too. Not totally satisfied with just the poncho.
I'm gonna need 5 survival points, and I'll allow you to find just enough plastic tarp and a pair of old, decaying goggles, painting hardware goggles that you can wear.
All right.
They're hard to see through, but you managed to clean them off well enough. Is there anything else that you would like, Nathan?
No, this is my neck of the woods, so I'm good with this.
Okay.
Zeke has a very large sledgehammer over one shoulder and a sawed-off shotgun at his side in a holster. And all of you step out from the gates of Rivertown, and they close behind you, and you see across the wall and in the towers around you, you see everyone watching as the three of you walk off into the slowly fading sunlight. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back, but when we do, I'd like for only Luis and Omar to stay at the table. We'll be right back. Sennet, you and Nathan, along with Zeke, have made your way to the fading light that surrounds Rivertown. The sun is setting and it's casting purple and pink hues across the sky. There are a number of heavily forested areas just outside the fields. It doesn't take long for you three to make your way down the dirt road. There are other scouts out now. You see them heading off in other directions, but you, led by Zeke, are brought towards the east. And as you walk away from the fields, the air becomes clotted with flies. There's a very rancid stench that hangs there. It subsides when the breeze dies down, but as the sun sets, it picks up. You know the smell, Sennet. You know the smell so well. It's been part of your life for as long as you can remember. Not just after the fall, but before. This is death. And it's here again. Nathan, tell me a little bit about what you do while you walk beside Sennet here.
We're quiet for a bit as to prepare for whatever's going to happen next. And then, at an especially quiet moment, I kind of turn to you and in a low voice, I ask, so who were you before all this?
Before all this?
Yeah. And I glance back at Zeke.
Far ahead of you.
Great.
Scouting ahead can't seem to hear what you're saying. As long as you keep low voices, you don't think Zeke will notice.
Yeah. Before all this.
I mean, I was a kid with big dreams, getting out of the town that I was in, wanting to get to the big city.
Holy smokes. What were you going to do?
I don't know. Anything.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to stay where I was.
I relate to that very well.
How did you end up here?
Wandered, I suppose. My folks are back in Virginia, and
They're still there?
Yeah, believe it or not, really living up to the statement of homebodies. But no, I got out of there, obviously.
Yeah. Why has Jaden got such a strong opinion of you? He's pretty cool with us, one of the few that actually is, whenever we come here with deliveries.
Right. It's dark, and I take my glasses off and kind of just pocket them.
Uh-huh.
Between you and me, and I glance over at Zeke, glance back, I don't buy bullshit leadership, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand I got a chip on my shoulder. My folks actually were politicians, senators.
Oh.
Hilariously enough.
I am not a senator.
I figured.
My name is... I'm not, Anyways, continue.
It's just... That's what I grew up in. Outside of D.C., and all my parents' friends with that. So my tolerance for that is kind of limited, I guess. And with everything going on, the idea of setting up some sort of familial governance when I got here, I didn't take to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I still don't. And I'm happy to assist with my skill set for as long as I can.
Right.
And help whoever I can, but Lincoln, which a lot of weight behind that title.
Yeah.
Either accepting it or assigning it to yourself. I didn't show them, I think, the reverence that they wanted initially.
Let's see.
So
they're punishing you for that, trying to put you in your place.
that's a very good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's going to come of that and how long I'll be here because of it, but I'm here now. That's kind of the general philosophy, I guess, right?
Right.
Zeke turns around, looks to the two of you, notices that you're talking and scowls, moves closer and whispers. Shut the fuck up. Do your jobs.
Well, this is part of the job.
Talking to each other in the middle of the
Yeah.
fucking road. Listen. I'm headed off to the northward. Two of you, keep heading east. I'm gonna loop around.
You're gonna go by yourself.
I'm not gonna have you two get me killed.
You're gonna get yourself killed. You recognize that all of the other patrols went somewhere safer than where we're heading. We're going right into the Lion's Den, and you want to go alone?
I move better when I'm alone. Two of you, I'll keep an eye on you from a distance. Head east. That grove of trees right there, that's going to lead you up to the ridge. Nathan knows where it is. He's been out here long enough. Always poking around there anyway, aren't you? You know the terrain.
Yeah.
Can you keep this newbie safe?
We'll do the loop. You go by the river. We'll go up to the ridge. We'll meet back and report to you what we find.
If I don't find you back in 30 minutes, I'm looking. Okay. Breaks off and Zeke heads off to the north. Two of you are alone.
I start to move a little more carefully than before. I guess I took for granted a little bit having another point person. Look, you've done this before. That this is a common scouting scenario.
Yeah. They come by every so often, or there's a couple stragglers. Honestly, it's not the biggest deal. I made most of my way on foot, so I know that my sense of danger might be a little skewed, but it's not too bad. And I actually have a little plot that I've been working up anyway, up that way. Familiar territory, and also it's higher up, so we'd be able to get a little bit of a vantage point.
Who did you normally do this patrol with? I'm the new guy, so there had to have been someone else that you would do this with aside.
Whoever was free.
Okay.
And also, I haven't been here that long, so it hasn't been that many times, all in all, I suppose.
Nathan, do you follow that pathway?
Yes, the pathway up to the little spot.
Yeah, there is a switchback trail deeper in the woods. You travel for probably another 10, 15 minutes and it breaks off. The trail moves upward, much as Nathan has already described. However, you've already seen a few of them. Not many, but you see them roaming in the distance, the dead. And you don't hear them yet, but in the fading light, it's just about too dark to see, but you do see a little bit of movement, and the shambling is unmistakable. The flies are thicker, and the smell is stronger.
Okay, is that enough? Can we go back now? I mean, what are we actually reporting on? We know they're here.
Yeah. If we make our way around and get a little height, we can at least get a sense of where the swarm is heading.
And how many there are. Most importantly, right, Nathan? It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Is it enough to send out the entire security force? That's what Zeke wants to know. That's what you've had to do every single time you've done this. The question is, do the two of you go up the switchback? Do you turn around? Or do you go forward?
We can keep coming through, or we can just get up.
I'm gonna have to trust you.
I understand that that's a big ask these days.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do to help with that?
Just get the job done fast and get my ass back.
That we can do.
You know, they're putting you at the most risk. You take that so well.
The most risk in terms of how they see it. Sure. But again, I've made my way and I've done well enough. And I guess my big thing is I don't really stay put.
Do they leave you alone? You walk past them? How close have you gotten to the Romeros?
Oh, very close. Leave me alone, not necessarily, but I'll look around and see if there's like a straggler.
Yeah, there's a straggler crawling. Doesn't seem to have functional legs anymore. More rotten than the others, pulling itself across the ground.
Okay, now see this? Come on.
Okay.
And I'll creep very quietly up to this straggler.
Straggler's there. Doesn't seem to hear you. Its blind eyes seem to look off into the distance away from you.
I pull out my rope and I want to fasten sort of a lasso-like knot. Okay.
Okay.
On the count. 1, 2, and I will lasso this particular straggler.
You put the rope around its neck, and it immediately tightens.
Here you go, pal.
Black bile pours forth from its mouth.
And the important thing, of course, is avoiding that, which is, why we've got the ponchos.
Yeah.
And I will pull the rope until I kind of flip it on its back so its mouth is away from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I will start to pull it.
What is this trick gonna do?
It's not a trick. This is how I navigate the space, how I get around. Here we go, pal. Here we go. It's okay. Here we go.
Okay.
You see, the whole thing here is everyone's got the weapons and everything. I feel like no one stopped to think about, well, what if you just don't attack them?
Okay.
You
And that works.
This is sort of a display of the trust, because I could tell that you were nervous before, so I figured that this would be a way to show you. Now, granted, there are a group of them, so we should, sort of make our way up to the ridge.
Right. Without disturbing them.
Yeah. But this guy right here, this is fantastic.
You've got a pet.
That's a little bit where... See, I think that thinking about them like animals is where it gets tricky. That's why people go out. It's a wild animal. You go shoot a wild, feral animal.
Right.
It's going to attack you.
Right.
Don't think of it like that.
Okay.
Think of it like they're children. A little, tumultuous.
That throw really bad tantrums.
That throw very bad tantrums.
Okay.
But I mean, who amongst us doesn't, right?
You move up the ridge, and as you do, the Romero is standing, just barely, pulling itself along, but with your help in the rope, Nathan, you're able to safely guide this corpse forward, this child, as you refer to it. The child walks in front of you, and the other dead do seem to pay less attention to the both of you as Nathan guides it further up.
What you're doing, it seems to be working, but I mean, I gotta say, this is really little bit disturbing.
I get that.
I would love to pick your brain about this when we're back.
That sounds good.
Take a look at whatever view we're supposed to.
As you reach the top of the ridge, your garden is present, Nathan. Visible. You're filled with joy, with a warm feeling as you see it. There are leaves scattered across the ground, and all of your children are here, held to the ground by chains and stakes. On the number of trees that are there, the dead are tethered, and you can see that they seem to even be growing into the tree itself. Wrapped around, their corpses seem to be melding almost together. They're almost one living entity here in the garden. Now you have a new child. What would you like to do?
I will guide a new addition to the garden to the next open spot, and I will tie this one with a rope for now to a nearby branch and make sure that the knot is fully fastened.
It moves towards you.
No. And I will pull out a knife that is been fastened from parts from one of the generators or something left behind, a sharp piece of metal, and I will start to cut away at the rope to get a second piece, and then I will tie the child's arm to another branch.
I'd like for you to make a dodge.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, since you're in your garden, you do receive 3 additional competency points. This is your respite.
Right.
Your most comfortable element.
I've got 1 degree of success, so I'm going to burn another and just get 2.
That's
for this
fine.
dodge.
Yeah, you move away as the child bites at you, but you do manage to wrap the rope around the wrist and tether it down. The Romero now looks towards you, Sennet.
Can you make it like me, like it likes you? I mean, whatever you're doing.
I will absolutely try. And I kind of like turn to the Romero. Hey, there it is. Hey. All right, it'll take a second, but look around you, pal. Look where you are. Look where you are. This is good.
Blood bile pours forth from its mouth. There's nothing but feral animal that can see it. But Nathan, you see potential.
It's oddly beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. I am very impressed with how you have not gotten yourself killed yet.
Thank you.
Is this what we need to take a look at? This you've done this? This is your doing.
Yeah, this isn't what we were sent out to scout and just check out the herd here, but this is the garden. Welcome.
You can see from this ridge, in fact, that there is a fairly sizable swarm off in the distance.
Great. So we have these that you have tethered here?
I've essentially brought here.
From the swarms that come passing by?
Yes, or if there's just 1 or 2 that go, it's actually quite genius, if you don't mind me bragging about it.
I would love to hear all about it, but is this, so we see the swarm. Is that all we need to report back? Because I want to pick your brain. I want you to teach me. I'm a very good student. And I don't feel like this is where I want the lessons to happen. Baby steps, if you will.
Sure.
But that's all we need to report. Is that right? Can we start to head back?
Yes, we can start to head back. But first, I want to make sure that you're okay, because I realize that this is actually a lot to introduce you to, and people are very squeamish around the dead. And
yeah, they're well, we can agree on that. They're the dead.
It's just, I mean, And I turn and like the sky still has remnants of light in it. There's some color. And just looking at the garden, this is what's possible. They're giving back, Sennet. Have you ever wondered why everything here grows better than everywhere else?
That is a thing that Rivertown has been known for. That's why we come here and we trade.
Yeah, that's my work.
But what does this have to do with that?
This is, do you know the concept of composting?
Yeah.
And taking material and almost in an act of alchemy, making it better for plants.
Yes.
That's this.
You're feeding these Romeros to the earth.
Well, I mean, look at them. They're merging back into nature. This is the ultimate form right
How
here.
long has that one been tied to that tree?
A very long time.
Sennet, you thought that he was only here for a few months. Also, you do notice bags and wheelbarrows filled with thick black. And you realize something hasn't been quite right since you started eating in Rivertown.
I do need you to not tell the Lincolns. Because as you can see and you've experienced and you've observed, they are not quite taking to new ideas that challenge the way that they run things.
Right.
And if there's one thing I learned, it's that folks who want to lead for the sake of leading, with no other philosophy or no other theory behind it, will strictly stand in the way of truth and beauty when faced with it.
Yes. Stand in the way of progress.
Well, it's interesting because I see this actually as a return. This is the garden of which all life can
Nathan,
spring.
I need you to make a sense motive check.
All right. And what check was that again?
Sense motive.
All right.
Yes. Motives.
Oh, right here? Okay, that is 4 degrees of failure.
Interesting. You do have a large number of competency points. Would you like to spin them? You have 6 total at this moment. You could bring it into, with 5, if you spend 5 competency points, you can bring it to 1 degree of success.
This is Nathan's thing. I will burn 5.
Oh, man.
In burning 5 competency points, you see through Sennet. Sennet, I want you to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Luis, I want you to tell us what Sennet really thinks about this.
Sennet is looking around at this abomination and is shocked and confused and is trying really hard to keep it together and to keep one step ahead of who he is learning he is in the presence of, which is someone who's out of his mind.
You know all of this, Nathan. He's not who you thought or who you hoped he would be. That kind demeanor, that gentle spirit. You don't think he can be converted.
That's not fair.
What?
That's not fair. You came to me in friendship and open-mindedness, and I can tell that you're having a reaction.
Okay.
I want you to take a step back, and I want you to stay in that open-mindedness. I want you to look at what's working.
I don't understand what's working. What I see is that you have collected a lot of the dead who are lost and need peace and need a release. You are tormenting them.
No, no, because that is ego talking, Sennet. That's you deciding for them. what you think they want and they need. That's
how do
propping
you
them up
then
like
decide what they
mannequins.
want? How do you know? I want them to be at peace, and I want to keep the living. I have been around the dead my entire life. I know what it's like when you take what remains of someone and bring it peace. Maybe there's something to what you've discovered. You've been able to do this for a very long time, and I point at that Romero that has been tied around that tree for so long that that tree started to absorb it. How you've survived is fascinating, and I have seen a lot, and I have an open mind. And although this community is utilizing me for grunt work, I am much more than that. I've got a lot more going on up here than they seem to understand, and I can recognize that you can appreciate that.
But he wants the living to live and the dead to die.
I do appreciate that, and I want you to understand something, Sennet. I like you very much. People who stand in the way of progress, that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
I like you, and I think you are smart, and I think you are more than a grunt. And I think of everyone that I've met, you are the most clever. You seem to see things the way that they absolutely should be. You're not trying to make things work. You have an experience, and I can see it in your eyes. There is something that has happened to you that has given you a view of the universe, of the way.
I gotta hit him. I'm gonna knock him out. I gotta hit him.
Okay, go ahead and make a melee strike.
Oh my god.
Now, thankfully, Nathan, you have one competency left.
Yep.
That may come in handy.
Is this a brawl?
This would be a brawl.
That is 1 degree of failure on my part, but I would like to.
How many competency points would you like to put into this?
I'm gonna do 2 to make it a success.
Well, you can roll a dodge.
Okay. That's a 1 degree of failure.
And you only have 1 competency left.
I mean, you're going to knock me out?
It's not necessarily going to knock you out, but it could cause you some serious damage.
I will burn my last competency point.
And if you give me all 50 of your survival points, I'll sell you 1 more.
Sure.
Fuck.
Which makes it a wash. Why don't the 2 of you decide what happens as neither of you succeed here?
Here's what happens. On my part, I'm a big guy and I can throw a mean motherfucking punch. But I like you. Even though I think you're insane. I think I swing, and in the last, I pull the punch just enough for it to not make the contact that I probably should have let it make.
You hesitated.
Yeah.
Your kindness flowed your punch. And so, Nathan, what about you? What happens in this moment? You have certain things, certain protections that you, of course, always keep on you and close, but tell me what happens when Sennet surprises you with this right hook.
I am scared. Absolutely. You are a very strong man, swinging at me, and I look at you, and there is a look of a scared and confused teenager that you see.
Fuck.
And so when you miss and you hold back, I instantly leap upon that. You know that there is something here.
Look, I know.
And you need to listen to me. I am trying to keep you alive because this is gardening. This is basic. And when things get bad, which it is down there, and I point at the town, you have to burn the entire house down. You don't leave anything left. You don't leave a shred of it left. I don't want you in those flames. Everyone else, everyone that you're trying to pull together, all of them can burn. All of them, as far as I'm concerned, are just mulch. Not you. If you get caught in that, I will feel fucking terrible. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do. I get it. I get it. Look, this is too much for me right now. Can I just have some time? I can't process things as fast as some other people. I need to walk away from this Just walk me out of this.
I will, but I need your word that you will not mention this to anyone until you come to me directly and talk, because if you tell any of the Lincoln offspring...
I won't tell the Lincolns. I won't tell the Lincolns, but I need to tell... There's one... I need you to explain this to someone whose brain is more capable of understanding this, and I need this. I need you to let me have that.
And I let out a huge sigh. This is not the first town I've been to, Sennet. I do need your promise. I do need your promise that you understand this before you bring it to someone else, because that person will tell someone else, will tell someone else.
No,
Nathan, I need you to make a choice.
Shit.
Sennet, you've now put me in the position where if you do not agree to this, I will now have to do something. And I flip the knife that I've made in my hands.
Doesn't need to be that. I promise you I won't tell the Lincolns. But I'm gonna want you to be the one to tell the doctor that I came here with.
And no one else?
No one else.
You promise me.
I promise you that I won't ask you to tell anyone else except for her.
On the sacred nature of the dead and the sacrilege that it would bring to break that oath.
Yeah, I promise that.
Okay. All right. And I sheath the dagger. Okay. One person, we go talk. Absolutely.
Okay, get me out of here.
All right.
All of you regroup. Zeke is with you. I'm going to make a roll for Zeke, actually, because, Sennet, I don't know that it's possible for you to firmly and completely hide the ghostly look on your face.
No.
You're not good at lying.
I'm
You're
not the same person that walked here.
No, there's something wrong. I took you for being more than that sort of rookie. You're out there with a rag and bone. I didn't expect you to get spooked by a swarm.
Uh-huh. Right, yeah, let's just get the fuck out of here.
All right.
How's it going, Zeke?
Fuck you, mate. Zeke leads you back, and you start making your way back into the gates, back into Rivertown. Sennet, what do you do once you're there?
We made a deal.
We made a deal.
Are you gonna hold up your end of the bargain?
There is nothing I'm holding over you. You have everything I have and that I've worked towards.
Zeke leaves to go and speak with his father. The two of you are alone inside of the gate.
Then follow me.
Okay.
At this point in our routine, where would I expect Remi to be?
Well, either the infirmary or the cabin, but you don't know for certain which of those she would be at. However, you do see Flywheel and Lenormand. They are standing outside of one of the other huts, holding onto some chains. The two of you have been given additional chains to shore up those weak spots, but your job is more or less done at this point.
I'm gonna walk past them. I need to see Remi. Is she in the cabin? Is she in the infirmary? Do you have any idea where?
Remi is watching over the healing body of Starburst in the infirmary.
Okay.
You look
You-
fucked.
You are very flustered
Listen.
and sweating.
It's a hell of a
Did
horde
you
out
have
there.
to run from Horde?
We made. Yeah, I need to see Remi. We're gonna be fine, though, right? Based on what we saw.
We should be.
It's very unusual horde.
The two of you can make sense motive checks if you'd like.
Oh, definitely.
All right.
Please do.
I was just enjoying the show.
So detect motives. I want to put something in this too, because this is weird energy going on.
That's 3 degrees of failure for me.
You don't get anything then.
Oh,
unless you'd like to
wow,
spend
yeah.
competency.
I literally rolled a 99. So.
It's not 100.
Lenormand looks at the both of them sweating, and that they somewhat look unarmed, and then looks over at Flywheel. Everyone needs to let off steam in some way, and apparently they had an assignation. I forget the terminology for it. They fucked. I'm most likely.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I like this guy. I like that maybe he might be a little more happy than me.
What do you think, Meg?
Meg hisses at Nathan.
You know, after a while of traveling with so many of the different people that we've traveled with, and a lot of people that we've encountered, some have been more pleasant than others, but one of the people that we've traveled with that I've liked more than anyone is Eli. Do you remember Eli?
I do remember
He
Eli.
reminds me a lot of Eli.
He reminds you of
A lot of Eli. There's just this nature.
Wish I'd met this Eli.
He was nice.
That sounds great.
He
We
was
should.
nice.
I do want to meet the doctor. Though.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
As they leave, I'll let the two of you make a final sense motive check, as there was
Oh.
something left behind.
I think Lenormand would very much have caught on to that, but you know.
We'll see how you make your detect motives check, but you're welcome to spend competency to make sure
Yeah,
that
I
it
think
succeeds.
depending on what it rolls out to. 42. My detect motives is a 55.
So that is 1 degree of success. Would you like to increase that?
Yes.
How,
Yes.
How much would you like to increase it?
How much do I need to?
Well, if you give me 2 competency points, I'll tell you absolutely everything. If you give me 1 competency point, I'll tell you what you think, Sennet.
Logically, I should go for the 2 to know everything. So that is what I will do.
As soon as Eli's name is brought up, it all kind of clicks together for you because it's very logical, and this was clever of Sennet to do. The last interactions you all had with Eli was not positive. Clearly, this is a ruse, as you would see it, and relating Nathan to Eli means that he's deeply suspicious. There's a danger here. And then it goes back to what was said before. And you realize something's very wrong. And that look upon Sennet's face is not fear of the Horde. It's fear of Nathan. What about you, Flywheel?
And with my 4 degrees of failure, I look to my sister and say, a religious guy.
Indeed. Lenormand is going to walk over to Nathan, actually getting into his personal space and looking him in the face. It is very interesting that we ran into each other in the field out of everyone else there. I do not believe in coincidences in any way, shape, or form. I know I'm more logical than most. You are interesting in a way that I have run into before, but not often. Perhaps we should accompany you.
Not just yet. But come check in on us in a little bit if you would.
10-4.
There'll be a lot of...
Nathan, I would like to speak with you again.
I would like that very much.
Soon.
That sounds great.
Do not make empty promises to me.
I never do.
He doesn't strike me as someone that does.
Because neither do I.
We'll...
Sennet,
reconvene.
I will see you soon.
Yes, you will. And I'm going to lead you towards where the doctor is, the infirmary. Don't mind Lenormand. Sometimes she has you make people a little bit uneasy, so she means well.
I appreciate that, and I assure you any judgment or conclusions that I were to make about your friend were made the second that I met them.
I appreciate that. I continue leading him to the doctor.
You are at the infirmary. The door is closed.
Listen, earlier the outburst. I apologize for that. I would rather us walk in here without any weapons. I know you have that knife thing that you made. Can we just leave it out here? I don't have anything on me.
As a sign of trust to you, I will do that.
Thank you.
You leave your knife behind?
Yep.
So be it. You set it down on the porch outside of the infirmary. There's an overhang, and as it is now fully night, dark, and some of the lanterns are being lit around town, what do you do?
I let Nathan enter, and I'm going to close the door
You do
behind.
not. The door is closed and locked from the inside.
Then I knock.
Doctor.
A knock that she's going to know is me.
Sennet,
That's me, yeah.
how is it out there? Can I open the door safely?
You can open the door safely, yes. I brought someone along with me, Nathan. He's a local, sort of.
Sure. I open the door, I crack it open a little bit, and look out.
Is it private in there?
Starburst is in here. There was an incident in our quarters, and
Okay.
we had to come here to a secure location.
Is she okay?
For now, is the person you're with trustworthy?
Yes, they yeah. I want you to have a conversation with them. I think they could use your expertise.
Sure. I exit the room and I close the door behind me and I just stand in front of the door. I don't let them in.
Okay, this is private enough.
I don't know if it is. And I kind of glance around.
People could see you. You don't know if they could hear you, but they certainly could see you out here.
What's going on?
This is Nathan. He is in charge of, I guess, the crops.
The agriculture in the area, and I suppose it's one of the many arrows in the quill.
We were on a bit of a scouting mission.
Mm-hmm.
Zeke took us out. We went far east, tasked with getting a visual on the horde.
How is it?
It's big, yeah, but doesn't seem to be posing a threat.
Huh.
But they are, I think, drawn here, yeah?
No. I mean, aside from the presence of the town in general.
No. You don't think what we saw on the hill is drawing them towards us?
No.
What's on the hill?
Yeah, what's on the hill?
I've done something miraculous.
What does that even mean?
You're gonna have to speak very, very direct, very plainly.
I see. And there's that flash of mental math that kind of goes through Nathan's head. I have a way to save all of us. And I don't just mean that, Doctor, in the grand agricultural, societal way. But I suppose I'll get to that in a second. I've found a way to boost growth.
Plants and things, or?
It's more of getting out of the way of the natural cycle of things. Letting them grow. But unfortunately, not everyone sees it that way, and I kind of glance around for Lincoln.
You certainly don't see Lincoln, but there's some increased activity on the walls as it seems like they're sending out a group to try to divert the swarm. They're going to make some noise and try to pull them away from the town. They've done this before, but your scouting mission's over. You've done your part. No one seems to be bothering any of you.
Doctor, let me ask you, how many people do you tend to when these scouting missions go out?
Depends how big the scouting missions are. Could be half the party, more,
And people come back scathed?
usually. They're not careful.
What if you didn't have to do that?
Are you suggesting some sort of healing hormone?
No.
Alright. Tommy, you're being fucking weird.
I
Just,
know.
just tell me what's going on. This is fucking weird.
Do I have permission to speak as to what
Why the
I've
fuck would you not have
seen?
permission to speak? What is
I-
going on here?
Just,
Yeah.
so he took me to a place that he has. That he has a garden. He's got a place that he's been cultivating, and he's been taking stragglers, Romeros, guiding them there, somehow avoiding getting bit, and he has been tying them up, creating a garden of the dead. He believes that they're children, and that there's a natural cycle to the return of the once living. He's using them as compost, and he's taking that compost and he is fertilizing the crops with them. Is that right?
They are giving back to the land that they come from. And as a person of science, I would hope that you would acknowledge the observation of a phenomenon, that it would be against all sense of progress and academia to not, at the very least, entertain that idea, Doctor.
So you are infecting this entire community without them knowing it.
No, I am not infecting the entire community. We are growing vegetables and fruits and feeding these communities. That's like saying, does dirt infect a community? Does air infect a community?
If it's contaminated, it does.
Doctor, you come back to all of those cases of the stomach flu. All the people that have been in your infirmary complaining of digestive issues, of the dark circles around their eyes and the fatigue.
And what science have you used to make sure that people aren't dying from this? That they're not getting sick? They're not filling this very infirmary because of what they're eating or what you're doing to them?
I suppose the science of that is something a little outside of my purview, and I would leave that to someone more adept, such as yourself.
And Sennet? I assume your new best friends told you all of this, and you rushed back here to tell me the good news.
I couldn't be the only one to know.
Doctor, I eat the food here. I am the first one to test this every single step of the way, and it's not just here. I've done this in towns all over.
You're making people sick. I've seen it. I couldn't figure it out before, but this is not healthy for them. They're dying.
You've seen people get sick, and then suddenly, when this information is brought to you, suddenly now there's a correlation. You proposed to me just now, what is the science I tested? I asked to you, what is the science you've used to support your hypothesis?
Nathan, was it?
Mm-hmm.
What were you for the fall?
I was a kid in Virginia, lived in the suburbs, I got good grades.
And then, after?
I left home. I wanted to see the world.
You mentioned your parents,
Yes,
and they're still home.
they are still there.
Are they like us or like your...
You know the answer to that, Nathan.
They are no longer with us. And that's not important.
So you've left your parents at home as walking dead as Romero's.
Listen, you didn't know my folks. And if they were to rise and give back to a community in the way that I've encouraged the children up in the garden to do so, it would have been better than the accumulation of both of their lives put together. I mean, these were folks that built systems to, and I glance around and keep my voice down, that built systems to simply just hold people down and siphon money from them, to create problems, not to solve them. And I said to myself, I would do anything in my power to do that. And the second that these events started to happen, I left and I made sure that I was making a better impact in the world. And I met others, and here's the important thing that both of you need to listen to me right now. You're both smart. You're both intelligent, and I can hear in your voice that you're open to the ideas I am suggesting. Not everyone is. And those people will not do well. That up there is the future. I know you know that. Doc, I would be happy to show you. And you can run whatever science you want. All day, every day.
What if the science proves you wrong? What if you learn that what you're doing up there is indeed making all these people sick?
On top of science, there must also be philosophy. And if that happens to be the case, and if a minority of people start to get sick from this, I would call that...
collateral damage?
I would say judgment.
Nathan, the fact that you are hiding this speaks volumes. I can't say that I've not been in your place before, though. I've been in a place of knowledge where no one believed me either. But this is on a mass scale.
Does it make any sense to you?
I don't know. I mean, we could look into it, but like I said, I don't think you should be doing this without people's consent, without them knowing. This entire community has been eating this food. You couldn't start with a sample population? What happened to the communities you left?
I don't know.
No.
Because I shared with them that information. And either the town died out or I was chased out. And
That makes sense.
when that happens, those towns meet a fate that I don't want the two of you to meet.
What do you mean, when you leave, they die?
I believe in making a better future. And I am not the only one. I visit towns, and I make sure that there are people that are worth saving, that will not hold us back, will not pull us back to the way that the world was before. Do you understand? You said just now, you've been held back. What if we can build a future where that's not true? And all it would take would be accepting what's happening, being okay with it, and then getting rid of folks like the Lincolns and the children.
Why do we need to get rid of the folks like the Lincolns?
Because they're the exact people who put you in that spot. They're the exact people who ridicule you and look to berate you on a daily basis. Instead of building something together, there are people in this world who want to tear it apart, who want to parse out the land, who want
Nathan.
to own it.
Lenormand, Flywheel, voices have been raised. You're not too far off. You can't hear what's being said, but you can see that a very heated conversation is happening on the outside of the infirmary. What would the two of you like to do?
Did you eat enough at the commissary when you had the chance to? I'm worried about your nutrition.
I ate fine. Looks fun.
You know what I did to Eli. I keep nothing from you.
Yeah.
The very fact that Sennet brought up Eli being analogous to Nathan unfortunately means that there is more than likely some sort of religious zealousness that is going on to the point where it endangers the group.
That's not very fun at all.
It is not. I was picturing myself and Nathan walking through fields hand in hand. It was a very pleasant possibility. I do not think that possibility is going to happen anymore. Especially because Remi does not react that way to people that are moral.
I mean, he's always a little too specific about helping people, so...
That is very true, and it is problematic a number of times.
That kind of look on her face can't be good.
So the two of you are just a ways off. Would you like to do anything else before I move back?
Lenormand has her tricked out baton that she has with her. You know, looking over at Flywheel. I would like to ask him what he is about. However, I feel like we might already know. But I'm open to suggestions. I have an opinion of what I would like to do, but how are you feeling, Flywheel? That is very important to me always.
I don't like people who placate me. I think I'd like to make my way around that.
You go around back and I will go through the front. I did find him to be quite pleasant. And he seemed to be very ardent in his work. And I appreciate that.
Hey, we'll find plenty of pleasant, ardent people.
The three of you are still on the porch, as elsewhere, the two of you slip into the dark, making your moves as you've chosen. I'd like for the three of you to tell me where you're standing.
At this point, this is Sennet doesn't have as much patience for this type of talk, especially given the subject matter, and so adrenaline is flooding. He's taken a step back, and as Nathan and Remi were talking, I look to Remi. What do I need to do right now?
We are going to take this weird little dude to Lincoln. We're going to tell him what's going on, because this can't keep up.
So, you were saying this in front of Nathan?
Yep.
Nathan, what are you doing?
I was really hoping that this wouldn't happen. I was really hoping that this wouldn't happen to you two.
If you were a real man of science, you wouldn't try to hurt people while trying to find the truth.
I'm not a man of science, and I'll step back, and we stayed on the porch where I stashed my knife, and I'm gonna go for it.
And I'm gonna punch him again.
And while you're doing that, Lenormand, you are behind Nathan. So the three of you, if you're doing what I believe you're going to do,
Yes.
the three of you, like for you to make rolls. I need your intentions. I need you to tell me what you'd like to do. We'll determine what skill you're going to use. And then each of you is going to roll a number of blue dice, which is going to determine the initiative order. Once your intention is claimed and these dice are rolled, whoever has the best roll on that blue die is going to act first, and it's going to be very important. So, we'll start with you, Lenormand. What is your intention?
My intention is that while I'm behind Nathan, I will say, Nathan, I want you to know that I feel that there is a specialness to you.
Before we go too far into that role play, Are you doing a physical action
Yes,
with
I
it?
am.
Okay, so tell me the physical action and we'll go into the role play once we determine the initiative order. All right?
I'm using my tricked out stun baton to underneath where his hair meets his head to stun him to death.
Very well. So
I'm going to electrocute him.
if before you try to electrocute him, if you succeed and you are first to act, you'll be able to role play with him at that point.
Okay.
Let's start with you, Sennet. What is your action?
I'm going to. I'm tackling this guy. I want to pin him down
All right.
and restrain him.
That's a brawl. You're going to roll brawl. You're going to roll your melee with your baton. Okay. That's your, I believe, blunt.
I
Is it
was gonna
blunt?
do blunt.
Yeah, I believe it's blunt. So roll your blunt, please. You have 2 dice, 2 blue dice that you need to roll with that to determine who's going to go first. Same for you, Sennet.
2 blue dice.
Brawl and 2 blue dice. Now you initiated this, Nathan. So as you move back for that knife, I want you to go ahead and make a melee slashing because I'm supposing you're going to strike with this weapon. Can you tell me who you're going to strike?
I mean, Sennet's the one going to tackle me and
Okay.
is the one who betrayed me.
All right, so you're going to stab Sennet. I would like for you to roll your melee then, and add to that 2 blue dice.
Okay.
Can I do something else? Then?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to ring the bell.
All right. I just need you to make a dodge. Yes. Let's start with Lenormand. Lenormand, how did you fare on your blue die?
I have a 4.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Sennet, how did you do?
4.
Nathan, how did you do?
4.
Not even
No
joking.
way.
I rolled the
How did you do, Doctor?
on a 2 blue dice.
Please be a
3.
Damn.
So, Doctor, you're going to act first, and then everyone is going to act at the exact same moment. So, Doctor, you ring the bell. The bell starts to peal out. The sound of it, the deep resonant metal clanging fills the air around Rivertown, and other bells follow suit as you've alerted security.
I also have 1 degree of success on my dodge.
That just gets you there without any complications. So if you'd failed, you might have tripped or fallen. As for the rest of you, I'm going to allow everything to happen. Lenormand, you are going to succeed. Nathan, you're going to succeed. And Sennet, you're going to succeed. Let's start with Lenormand. You can roll your damage for this strike.
Oh,
It is based on sustained contact. So your first
yeah.
strike is
Kill
going to
him,
stun.
sustain
Yeah.
contact.
So you can certainly kill him. It won't happen immediately, but you will electrocute him. It will cause him to seize up. And at that point, you may proceed to
Yes.
murder him with a cattle prod.
Oh god.
Okay, so do me a favor and roll 2 red dice. And remember that the Hunter H is an exploding die. That means you roll again and add it all together.
So 4.
Okay, 4 total. Mark 4 onto your sheet. Nathan, you immediately are going to feel this electricity work through your body. It's going to cause you to seize up, and it's going to stun you, but not
Can we
quite
be
yet.
in a formation since we are surrounding this
You didn't say
individual?
that you were in a formation, and I apologize, but the answer is definitely no.
I will learn this lesson well.
Take it with you. It's a gift that I give to you. Sennet, let's resolve your tackle.
I got 2 degrees of success on my roll.
All right.
I'm happy to pump it up.
How many degrees of success do you have on your melee strike?
Oof. That's bad. That's, I believe, 3 degrees of failure.
Yes, that is bad. How many competency points do you have left? I believe you've used them all.
I believe I burned them all.
Yeah, you did. So you have no competency in which to adjust this, and I believe that you've given me all your survival points as well.
Yeah, I burned all those.
I'm gonna then. So my goal is to subdue him. So I'm tackling him, and I'm happy to knock him out, but I'm not trying to make this lethal.
What happens is you tackle Nathan. Nathan, you feel the blade. It doesn't strike you. It's past you. His arm is out of your way. You're safe from the blade. But as soon as Lenormand's cattle prod strikes into the back of Nathan, both of you begin to feel the electrical current work through your bodies. As your immediate reaction is that your muscles seize, your jaws clench, and you both fall to the ground. Lenormand, you're pressing this cattle prod onto the back of Nathan, but you see that Sennet is holding on to it, and that current is moving through them both. What do you do?
I look over at Flywheel.
I'm approaching from the back, and I'll make eye contact, look down at Sennet, and just a motion to, we like Sennet.
I don't kill. I remove the cattle prod, and instead of doing the sustained contact, I kick Sennet off of, since he's prone and immobile and shocked, I kick him off of Nathan. If I'm able to, I would like to kick away the knife that would be either loose in Nathan's hand or nearby.
You start to do that. The bells are ringing, and you see the security detail arrive. Drop your weapons now! Zeke has a gun drawn, pointed towards all of you. Others are behind him.
Whoa!
Nathan attacked us. I ring the bell.
The cattle prod, down!
I go down to where Sennet is, and I immediately
Do you
try
drop
to...
it?
I put it down.
Okay.
I go down to where Sennet is to try to get him
What
conscious.
the fuck is going on here, Doctor?
Nathan has been feeding your community parts of Romero's and the food, and we were going to tell you, and then he tried to attack us.
I would have taken care of the problem, but unfortunately that wasn't an
That's not your job.
He's making your community sick.
Lincoln will decide what the fuck to do. You're not in charge here. I thought we made that clear.
He attacked us. We're defending ourselves.
Fine. Lincoln will sort it all out. I'm taking you all to the brig. Put your weapons down. I want you to disarm now.
Lock us in the infirmary. He needs help. I can't leave Starburst in there alone. Just lock us in this
Fine.
infirmary.
Every weapon on the ground, I'm going to lock you in the infirmary. All of you.
Fine.
Do you all disarm?
Am I conscious? Or am I out?
You're out. Both of them are out. You're going to have to
I
drag
think
them
I
in.
disarmed. I was an armed
This is
anyway.
incredibly unfair.
Since I hadn't drawn my weapon, can I effectively make a case that I don't have one on me?
You can try. Would you like to make a persuade roll?
Probably not, honestly. You know what?
Maybe it's stealth?
Where are you putting these, bud?
This is not something that can be replaced, and it is not something anyone here has any type of technological
We don't
knowledge.
want any of your weapons. If we wanted them, we would have taken them from you when you entered the gate.
Then let us just go into the infirmary with them, and you can take
Absolutely
Nathan.
not, and watch you all kill each other?
Hey.
No, weapons on the ground. That's the rule. You don't make the calls here. I do.
Lenormand, it'll be
Everyone.
okay.
And so the security detail starts to fan out and actually
Yeah.
pats you all down.
For sure. I'll take out.
I do
won't
not
fight
like
it.
to be touched. I will not be touched.
Hey.
I will put my
Flywheel, you want to deal with this?
Yeah, we can deal with it by, my sister will give up their weapons and you don't have to fucking touch her.
I will put my cattle prod on the ground, but you will not touch me.
All
Otherwise,
right?
there will be a
Fine,
issue.
fine, Lenormand. We're going to lock you up on the side shed over there. You're going to be
I
separated.
will not
from
be
the-
separated from Flywheel.
You're going to be.
I will
Fine,
not-
both of you can go in there. If you
Hey,
kill each
look.
other, you're doing me a fucking favor.
I'm surrendering my weapon.
Thank you. Both of you are going into the shed. The three of you, I'm putting into the infirmary.
Is our friend Nathan conscious still?
I want both of you to make endurance checks to see which of you wake up first. You're still stacked on top of each other.
No.
I believe that Nathan should be separate and not us. This is incredibly unfair.
Damn.
My endurance is 35. I got 31.
I got 1 degree of failure.
You hear voices, Nathan. At first, you hear the crackle of the television, and you're sitting back in your home on the floor watching TV in Virginia. Your parents' well-appointed house, a senator's house. And as you watch the television, you see your parents. You see a banner that says, AIDS legislation defeated. And you watch as your parents, with the rest of their Republican allies, cheer. You watch their faces. Their cold, heartless faces. The arms that never hugged you, left you with servants and nannies. Parents that never gave you what the others gave you, what your new family gave you. The ones that taught you, that brought you back from the edge, that raised you. You are their vessel, you are their servant, and you are on a holy mission, and you cannot be stopped. And you're awake. And Sennet is unconscious on top of you. You have a knife in your hand. What would you like to do? You don't need to make a roll. You just have to tell me what you're doing.
I put the knife to Sennet's throat, and I look at the dock. And with all of my strength, I muster up the words, "It'd be a mercy if I did. With what's coming?" And I drop back, and I will drop the knife, and I just want to keep laughing.
You see just a trickle of blood where that knife was held to Sennet's neck, and this maniac is laughing on the ground.
I get up. And I look at Nathan. I've seen worse than you. And if no one's gonna stop me, I am just gonna step on his face. Make him stop laughing.
Break a couple of teeth and maybe his jaw, but you stomp your boot down.
I would...
And there's shouting. I said drop your weapon, that's enough of this shit! Zeke screams at you. Do you back off?
I do.
You're all...
I'm still kneeling there, having put my cattle prod down, seeing all of this, and looking over at Flywheel and looking Nathan in their face. You have my interest now. That is not a compliment.
All of you are ushered into separate buildings. You're taken away from them, Nathan. The two of you are locked in the infirmary. The two of you are locked into a shed not far away. They don't restrain you in any other way. But if you are carrying weapons and they pat you down, they take them. But they don't pat you down, as you and your sister have agreed to be separate. Nathan, you're taken into a separate building. Zeke is standing over you. It's dark as the door is closed, and you're alone. For a while. And then in the darkness, you hear the movement of boards.
You hear that? Zeke is still there, correct?
Zeke is not there. He's outside the door. The door's been closed. You're in the darkness, locked in.
I climb up and I put my hands against the wood that's around me, feeling the organic material. And I start to pat a little bit to the outside where Zeke is. And I just whisper through a crack, "Do you want to know what I did to my folks, Zeke?" And I start laughing again.
You feel a hand on your shoulder. Come. It's time for you. It's time for you to come. I'm ready. You and me. Your children are a gift to the world. You are love.
Thank you.
We'll return next week. Thank you for joining us.